Three Manchester United players are feared injured ahead of a busy coming days for the club. What exactly is going on? My name is Webb. Welcome to the Network Sport here with an injury update concerning three players who were substituted as some limped off. The other was a bit of a precaution by the manager. But what exactly is going on following the assessment that Eric Ten Hag promised would happen and that we know always happens? My name is Webb. Like, share, subscribe as we continue with Manchester United talk. Guys, thank you so much for subscribing. We've hit past 10,000 subscribers. That's a milestone for me. Of course, it's not the biggest. I know some who have got millions of followers and subscribers, but for me, ever appreciative. Our videos have so far garnered over 2 million views for the past over a year. We've been doing this. For me, it's extremely humbling and commendable. It shows that what I do, I think, makes and touches and impacts on someone. It makes sense for someone out there. There are people in countries I've never even visited, but you still make it a point to come here and watch all our videos. So I do request you to keep subscribing and sharing our videos so that we make it to 20K. Perhaps this is the time you can choose to become a member as well, and we step it up a notch. Now, let's get proper into the Man United talk. Now, we know, at least for now, that Mathis De Ligt is not injured. He only cramped, and he actually thought he would have played the full minutes of the game, but Eric Ten Hag decided to pull him off last among the defenders that we had that started the game against Southampton. But question is about concerning the other two players, that is Lisandro Martinez and Mazraoui. What exactly is going on with them? We saw both of them limp off. In fact, with Mazraoui, it did not look good at all because he was seen talking to the doctors and pointing on his thigh as if he had either pulled a hamstring or a muscle pain. We will get to understand exactly what went on. But from what we gather, the three might not be available for the game, for our home game against Barnsley in the EFL Cup or in the Carabao Cup. Most likely they won't be available as they are taking it. Eric Ten Hag is trying to take precautions. So because we've got a busy coming days, guys, we've got 7 games in a space of 22 days. Now that's a lot of games, guys. It's a lot of games that's literally a game every 3 days. A game every 3 days. We've got a game. So it's a bit intense at that level. And remember, these players have been playing for their national teams. Like Eric Ten Hag explained, some have traveled. Onana was in Uganda. You can imagine from the UK to Uganda, a flight takes about, depending on, of course, on which flight, but it could take about more than 5 hours for you to get there. I mean, so you can imagine then going and having to go back, the fatigue, the jet lag. So these players, and then they've had a 12:30 game, an early game, early kickoff. So it's a bit harsh on the players, but of course that's the price you pay for playing at this level and earning so much money they earn. But that said, Eric Ten Hag and his team have got to be smart now, and this is where the depth has got to come into play. My expectation is that in the game, for example, in the EFL Cup or the Carabao Cup, I'm hoping that we get to see players like Sekou Kone, have some minutes in there. I'm hoping to see more of Ugarte because he needs minutes in his feet. Among the senior players, Ugarte should be there. Casemiro, who played centre back for some part of the game and played a proper Brazilian pass. In fact, people up to now are saying Casemiro should decide whether he's done or not because he's confusing everyone. One day he has a terrible game, the other day he's playing the best pass, the best football pass you've seen. But the reality is Casemiro is a good footballer. It's just that the intensity of the Premier League gets a little bit high because of course, age and his body. He has played too much football at this level. But in terms of knowing the game, his understanding, his technical abilities, his movements, his passing, the execution might not be perfect all the time because of the physique, but in terms of the head, he has still got it. So if he's not going to be playing so many games and he's not expecting to play every game and start every game, for me, I have no issues with Casemiro being there because there are moments where we need his experience to come in handy. But if the load is weighed on him, it's not heavy on him, I think he can still be an important player for the young Kobe's and the likes to learn from him. So I expect Casemiro to be in that game. I expect Kobe to be rested. I expect Garnacho to start that game because he has not been getting enough minutes in the league because of Marcus Rashford. Rashford too needs to be playing. Ahmad can rest for that one. I expect because Ahmad also travelled with Ivory Coast. That's why I think he needs a bit of a rest for himself. Then I Bruno has played a lot of football. Is the one player who is always there. I think too. Even he's 30 now. He too should start to be rested. I hope Hoyland and Luke Shaw can return. I do hope they can. One of them at least, especially Hoyland, could return and get a few minutes in that game. I think the Barnsley game is one we can use because there is no way. I think in my wildest dreams I can think of Man United failing to beat Barnsley. I think even if we played with the Harry Amasses of this world, the Toby Colliers, Sekou Kone, then drop in a one experienced Casemiro in there. Backline have the Johnny Evans in the defense, Harry Amas on the left, then Evans with Maguire, maybe. Then on the right, we'll get a young kid or maybe a Diogo Dalot can still come. But again, Dalot is maybe an only fit fullback. So maybe Dalot too can be rested and we get someone to play on the right. So we need Rote. Zaxi still needs to be playing football. Zaxi can still play because he has not got enough games in his feet. He needs to be in the rhythm. So I think we can properly balance the team and obliterate this Barnsley team. So the injury talk, we'll get a solid injury update from the manager. But what I know, I think from what I'm gathering now, these three players, including Delete, will not be playing in the next game because Delete, for the first time in so many months, in a long time, probably in this whole year, he has played 3 games in a week. Three back-to-back games. No, it hasn't happened in a long time, so he needs a bit of rest. In all fairness, so because we are headed for an intense few days that are about to come, especially in the league that matters. That is the English Premier League. We've got Crystal Palace. We travel to Crystal Palace. Then we've got the Europa League where we entertain FC20. We can't risk to lose at home against a team like FC20. So there's quite a lot to prepare for. Then after that, we do have Tottenham. Then at home, we've got FC Porto. All these are games coming in the coming weeks where we've got Aston Villa, we've got Brentford, who scored quick against Man City. So there are certainly going to be intense games coming. That's why we need to see Erik Ten Hag show us what he can do with the depth he's got. Anthony, for example, can come in for Ahmad. I mean, he's still there. He's got to be playing. Let him come in for Ahmad against Barnsley. These are his games. Onana needs to rest as well. Onana too has got to rest. Just like you rotate other players, Onana too is human. I think Altel Bayindil has got to be playing against Barnsley. So for me, this game and the fixture pile is an opportunity for us to see how Erik Ten Hag can play around with his squad so that the depth we keep talking about and we were all praying and hoping for can make sense for us. So that's the key thing for me. Ahmad, Kobe, Delete, these are players I don't expect to see in the Barnsley game. My name is Webb. Like, share, and subscribe. I will be back later, guys, with more talk because we need to still break down the performances we had in the last game, especially I talk about players like Marcus Rashford because now debates are beginning to start of whether Rashford should actually be starting because Erik Ten Hag seems to suggest that Rashford now is an important player because he scored a goal and Garnacho seems to be phasing off to now being an impact substitute. For Ahmad, he seems to be the main guy now on the right. I think his time is now. Erik Ten Hag is waxing lyric about him, like things we are doing before. But for me, I think we've got to have a clear starting attack, and I think I'll come back later and talk about that, what I think needs to be done now that Marcus Rashford seems to be having his head up again. Let me be back in a bit.